Hello and welcome back to Might and Magic 6, the Mandate of Heaven. And let's start the actual game.
Having cheated death to
Create party. So, the votes are in, and there haven't been too many votes, but basically I got two completely different votes, and I thought about it, and I think I will go with Top Dog's suggestion instead of Max Knights. The characters that I want, first of all, with the class. In this game, unlike in the previous game, we have 6 classes: Knight, Paladin, Cleric, Archer, Sorcerer, and Druid. We don't have any sort of rogue class, no thief or something like that. And we don't have a ninja. So that's one reason why I don't really think that this game is all that good compared to the others. The choices are really quite limited. It makes sense that the choices are limited because they had to make an entirely different engine for this game. But at the same time, I mean, it is disappointing. Let's be real here. I think 6 classes is the number of classes that there were in the very first game. In every other game we had more than that number of classes. But yeah, so Knight is your regular warrior class. Knights have no magical abilities. Cleric is the healing magic type. Sorcerer is the sort of offensive magic type. Paladin is a mix of Knight and Cleric. Archer is a mix of Knight and Sorcerer. Druid is a mix of Cleric and Sorcerer. Now, another reason why I don't think that this game is all that good is because some of these classes don't make much sense. The Knight class does get quite a bit of hit points. They get the most hit points, I believe. But in almost every way, Knights are equal to Paladins. They only get more hit points. And meanwhile, Paladins can cast every clerical spell. So there's no reason to take a Knight over a Paladin. Pretty much. So, the Paladin that I want...
You want to win? Pick me.
Is...
Ready?
I believe this guy.
Choose me? Hey, choose. You gotta pick me. Pick me. Let's help you need. Choose me.
Another thing that I don't exactly like about this game is the portraits.
You ready? You gotta
They're
pick
not
me.
that good.
Hey, choose me.
Ready?
They're way over the top, I have to say. But hey, also, we only have humans, no other races, unlike in the previous games. But, yeah. My paladin is going to be, of course, Jean-Luc Picard. And we have the ability to assign points to skills. Instead of rolling the skills randomly, we just have skills preset for a particular class, and then we can add bonus points to that. And a new thing in the 3rd generation of Might and Magic games, skills. So every one of the party members gets a number of skills. We did have something like that in Xen as well, but they were kind of things that enhance your base stats and so on. Here, skills are quite different. They're very important, and you put skill points into them after you level up. So that's one major part of the game. Now, for my paladin, I have a number of skills that I want to give. Ideally, so some of the skills are preset. I cannot discard these two. So the paladin has to know sword and spirit magic. Thing is, spirit magic is not what I want on my paladin, actually. I want body magic and I want mind magic. For reasons I will explain later. But I don't get the choice to get any more magics. So then, the other thing that I will want to have is spear, but there's not a whole lot of reason to start with 2 weapon skills. Armor. There is the option to get a shield, but that's also not something that I really want to use, I don't think. Maybe it might be okay at the very beginning. There is the ability to get chain armor, and there's the ability to get leather armor. But both of these are not terribly useful for paladins because they can get plate armor, so these would be unused. Next, from the other skills, the miscellaneous skills, we can have perception, diplomacy, and disarm. Diplomacy is completely useless. Never take that. I will probably learn diplomacy just because, but never put any skill points into that. Perception is something I do need. This is useful to be able to notice something and to avoid traps. Disarm trap is useful, but I don't want to give that to the paladin because the paladin already has a lot of things to work with. So it comes down to the choice of, do I want to have spear or do I want to have shield, which is not going to be useful for long, but at least I will get a shield as a starting point, and I think that's reasonable. Okay, the second person. I do need an archer. So the archer is going to
Choose
be...
me or suffer.
It's interesting that in this game we also have voices for all the different characters. Unfortunately, the voices are tied to the portraits. I don't really like that all that much, because I would have liked to have more variety, and it is uncoupled in the next games. But anyway, for the archer, I will put in William Riker. And what I want out of my archer is... let's see, air magic is something that he has already. Bow he has already, that's very important. If possible, I want water magic, but that's not an option here, unfortunately. I would want an axe. While rather slow in the attack, axes do a lot of damage when they hit. That's pretty useful. I want to vary my weapon skills among all of the members of the party, because you get random weapons in dungeons and so on, and I want someone to be able to use any kind of weapon that we come across. Then, let's see, what else? For the archer, I would like to get chain armor, but that's not available again. A shield would be useful, but that's not available again. And then the sound trap. I guess I can take the sound trap. Yeah. Identify item is also something I should probably take. Both of these are really useful early on, actually. Yeah. I'll take identify item. That allows us to identify items, because by default, all items are unknown. And it costs quite a lot to try and identify them in shops. So this saves quite a bit of money. Next, we do need a cleric.
Choose me.
I'm ready. Pick me.
Choose me. I'm the one. How about me?
And that is obviously going to be Beverly Crusher. Alright. So for the cleric, I have Mace and Body Magic. That's also not what I really need. I want my cleric to have Spirit Magic instead. But okay. Mace is useful. I don't get the option to get Chain Armor still. A shield would be useful. I have the option to get the shield. Meditation would be useful. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll take shield and meditation. It's true that oh wait, there's spirit magic. Huh. Okay, so spirit magic it is. Do I want to take the shield? Meditation. Add spell points directly to your character's spell point totals. Multiply the skill in meditation by the character's base class bonus to get the total. This is useful, but I guess not completely useful early on. And it is retroactive, so as long as we learn that eventually, we will get all the bonuses later on anyway. Now, so the choices of the classes. The cleric, in my opinion, is by far the best class, because they can have shields, they can have chain armor, so they're really good at the physical part, and they can also heal, so they're also really good at the magic part. So I think my ideal party would in fact be cleric, 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 cleric. A paladin is a good substitute for a cleric because they can also cast almost all of the spells. The only thing that they cannot cast is light and dark magic. But that's later on, and also they don't get as many spell points to work with. Then, you would expect sorcerers to be a good class. They're not.
Choose me.
In fact, druids are much better.
I'm ready.
You ready? Let's go.
You gotta pick me.
Pick me.
Let's help you need. Choose.
It's me you want. Choose me.
And this will be Deanna Troy. Why are druids better than sorcerers? Because they can cast clerical spells and they can cast sorcerer spells. Not only that, but to determine the amount of spell points that they get, it's not just intellect, like for the sorcerers, it's intellect and personality together. So they get a hilarious amount of spell points right off the bat. It is true that they cannot cast light and dark magic. So my cleric is going to have to do a lot of light and dark magic instead. Because the cleric is the only one who can do that. And that's the only saving grace of the sorcerer. Like I said, honestly, I would just have more clerics, and that's it. And the archer I have here for basically casting utility spells. The cleric I'll try to actually have as more of an offensive spellcaster, and I'll have the druid as the healer and the buff caster. And the paladin as a backup healer. Okay, and for the druid I want to give... Let's see. Their staff and earth magic. Basically, I want to give other kinds of magic if possible. So, body, air, fire, earth. Body, earth, air and fire are not options. I only have water. Okay, then that is okay. I can choose mace, but I already have a mace user. I could choose leather. I probably should choose leather. But then there's also meditation, repair, learning. Learning is useful, but leather is also quite useful. Yeah. Meditation or leather. Meditation is really useful also early on. But then again, I guess the druid has a lot of spell points as it is. And leather is as far as druids can go, so I'll just go with leather. Okay, so we got through selecting our characters, classes, and skills. And now it's for the bonus points. First of all, actually we can use minus to lower some of the stats. I'm going to lower the luck of everyone. So what does luck do? It has subtle influence throughout the game, most visible in the ability of a character to resist magical attacks and avoid taking as much damage from traps. It is actually just magic resistance. There's really nothing else to it. But the reason why I want to remove some of the skills from here is because in the very first town you have the ability to raise luck if it is below a threshold. And we are all below a threshold as it is. So this allows us to reallocate the bonus points better. Next, I want to remove magical skills that are of no use. Intellect has absolutely no use for paladins. For archers, personality has no use. For clerics, intellect has no use. And for druids, both are important. Then, for the rest, min-maxing in this game is actually quite important. In a lot of cases, you have to go over a threshold of a particular stat in order to achieve something. So, what I'm going to do is focus on some of the really important skills. I want someone with very high might, so I'm going to just max out the might of Picard. Then, for archers, accuracy is quite important. Yeah. I would focus on intellect, accuracy, and endurance, really. The other things, like speed is important for recovery rate, accuracy is important for being able to hit things. Since the archer starts with a bow, the accuracy requirements are much higher than normal. Intellect is also quite important, might maybe a bit less so. I'm going to just max out accuracy for Riker. For clerics, of course, the personality is the most important part. So I'm going to max out personality in this case. For druids, both intellect and personality are important. I am going to focus more on intellect, I believe. Yeah. And then for Picard, I also want to focus more on endurance. And now we have only 6 bonus points left. So I'm going to put that into intellect. Here, for the cleric. Well, actually, accuracy for spellcasters doesn't really make much sense. Because they cast spells, and spells are not affected by accuracy as far as I know. So then... then for the cleric, personality is already maxed out. Endurance can be useful. Speed can also be useful. But I will try to give more to personality of the druid first. And yeah, I'll give more to speed for the cleric. And then a bit more to might for the archer. A bit more to endurance for the cleric. A bit more endurance for the druid. And more intellect. More speed. And I guess more speed also. And lastly, more intellect. Just like in Zine, the stats follow a geometric progression. That's very low stats. Just improving them by a little bit gives you a huge boost in the actual effects. But once you add more and more and more, it becomes less effective. But you still need to go over some thresholds of these stats, so that's why it's quite important to max them out quite early. Alright, so we have everything. Let's go. We start at the town of New Sorpigal. If you recall, in the first game, the starting town was called Sorpigal. So this is a nod to that, right out the bat. And here we have a sign that says "Welcome to New Sorpigal." But before we go into town, let's just look at our inventory. Depending on the skills that we have chosen, we receive some items. So spellcasters get potions, potion bottles, and some berries. If you take a berry, you right-click on a potion,
That worked.
you get an actual potion. Cure wounds, restores 10 hit points. These are extremely important, because if someone runs out of spell points to revive someone, then these are a literal lifesaver. We have the letter, which is a quest item. And then we have books of learning. These are... So this one, for example, is in spirit magic. So anyone with spirit magic can learn Bless.
I can't learn that. Okay.
And, for example, Beverly could already learn that. And indeed, I want to have Beverly be the most efficient in spirit magic, so this makes more sense, in fact. Next, we have the shield and the sword. I'm not going to put any extra points into shield, but the initial ability to get a shield is quite useful. And we have a sparkling ring of cold resistance plus 4. Every character can equip up to 6 rings, an amulet, and a gauntlet, in addition to what we have on the paper dolls. And it's pretty nice to have paper dolls, and I think that the paper dolls are generally made better than the actual portraits that you get. Because the portraits seem to be just photos, and the paper dolls are rather drawn, and that looks much better, in my opinion. For Riker, we have
Excellent!
another kind of potion, energy potion. Adds 10 to primary statistics temporarily. Technically useful, but I don't really use that all that often. And we have static charge. Air magic.
I can't learn that.
I can't learn that.
I can't learn it.
Good show.
He's the only one who can learn it. We have a crossbow, very important to have ranged weapons. Crossbows are the deadliest ranged weapons made since the time of wonders. This crossbow is made of stout yew wood and metal fixtures, but is otherwise rather ordinary. Yeah, also everyone starts with a club, a primitive weapon usable by even the stupidest of monsters. You're not thinking of using this, are you? Yeah, since you can choose not to start with a weapon skill, then you would only have clubs. They're really not good. But they do have some uses. There are clubs that are actually worth at least something. The longsword is 3 times as good as a club. And we actually have the ability to check the statistics. How much attack bonus we have, how much damage we will deal, and also the recovery time. This is only added in a patch. But it's very useful to know how long it will take until your turn comes next. You want to minimize the recovery time as much as possible. Axes are pretty slow, and also equipping wooden shields and shields in general lowers your recovery time, which is another reason why I don't really want to have my paladin with a shield. I want him to learn to use spears, but that can be done later. A lunar ring that doesn't really do us much good right now, but I might as well keep it for the time being. It will come in handy later. Then we have first aid. Body magic. I want my druid to do more of that.
Yes.
So I'm going to do that instead. Bless.
I can't learn that.
I already know the bless.
I can't
well,
learn that. Yes.
So I'll give that to Picard. Get a shield. Get a mace. Small wooden shield designed to protect mostly against arrows. And a mace, little more than a glorified club, this common mace is made of ordinary materials and unexceptional craftsmanship. And we have a fine ring. That one I can just sell. It's completely useless. Again, the sword is simple make and design. This longsword is deadly nonetheless. And next for Troy, we have first aid and magic arrow. Magic arrow is useful,
I can't learn that.
I can't learn it.
but we do not have the skills.
Okay.
For anyone else to learn it.
Yes.
And first aid also goes to Beverly, since I already have first aid on Troy. We have leather armor, and we have a staff. The staff is a two-handed weapon, so the lightest and most easily made amongst the armors. Leather armor offers the least protection. This particular suit is of average quality, but it does give +4 to armor class, which is quite significant. And the staff is the traditional weapon of the oppressed. This is unremarkable, and the ruby at the end of it is actually just colored glass. Yeah, that's pretty funny. But we also have a fine ring of cold resistance, a small golden ring with a quarter carat diamond. The style is simple and elegant. So these are useful. Now then, we also have this letter. It's a message scroll. To read this message, pick the scroll up and right-click over the character picture in the inventory screen. The letter. My dear Solomon, you have done well, and I hereby promote you to High Priest of the Second Circle. There is a sum of gold waiting for you in the hands of Andover Portbello in New Sorpagal that he will turn over to you if you tell him the Sandman sent you, and show him the seal on this letter. Sandman, I like that. The handling of the Roland affair was merciful, and I especially like the snowstorm touch. It really put the fear in him, didn't it? Superstitious fool. His removal has moved our timetable ahead by at least 2 years, and has spared us the trouble of assassinating him at a more delicate time. All arrangements are in place. My minions have engineered the recall of Queen Catherine to her homeland in Erathia to attend the funeral of her father. She will not return this year, and that only leaves her worthless brat Nikolai and that idiot regent Wilbur Humphrey running things at the palace. The people have begun to sense that something is wrong, that perhaps the gods are angry, that perhaps the Ironfists have lost the mandate of heaven. Just a few more disasters and there may well be a full-scale rebellion. And we will be waiting at the breach, ready to step in and tell the sheep what to do and when to do it. Already our temples spread across the land, offering aid to those displaced by disasters and comfort to the bereaved. Yes, remain in New Sorpigal and stay out of sight. When the time is right, you will be contacted and given further instructions. So take heart and know that our plan proceeds smoothly and we will be ruling this world soon. Your position in our hierarchy will be very high. Xenofex. I think the name was later on retconned in that it starts with an X as well, but it's still pronounced Xenofex. So it's a letter to Solman, who is in fact the traitor in Roland's party, from Xenofex, who is in fact a very high-ranking official in the Kreegan army. Not the top one, but still. And it looks like that the Temple of Ba, one of those animal noises temples that we already are quite familiar with from previous games, is doing a lot of things to make people go to their temples and do what they want them to do. And the whole thing was engineered with Roland and Catherine by the Temple of Ba as well. So that's quite a twist. Alright, so we have arrived to New Sorpigal. The first thing that I want to do is to go to the inn, A Lonely Night.
Hello, come on in.
So this game is the move to 3D, and we can have free movement in the game, and also in every place that we visit we get this pretty nice 3D rendered environment. And it's a really cool touch. Like, you cannot explore the environment, but you can see that there has been a lot of work put into each of these. And the letter said to talk to Andover Podbello for a reward, if you're Solomon. Fellow travelers. Bah, friend. Oh. I thought you were a member of my temple. Sorry, my mistake. The letter. Oh, the seal. Here, I'm supposed to give you this money. Now go away before we've seen it together. Someone would get suspicious. Don't say I didn't pay you. You got your gold. Yeah, so Andover Podbello is a follower of Ba. And he has a quest. Could you do the Temple of Ba a favor? It appears that my brethren left the old temple to the northwest of here a little too much of a hurry, and a candelabra necessary for some of our rituals was left behind. None of the Ba priests want to go back because they're afraid of whatever curse has been placed on the temple. If you were to bring back the candelabra to me, however, I could reward you in their place. So we can go to an abandoned temple of Ba to find a candelabra and then give it to this guy. Did the curse frighten you away as well? I can understand. Ba is patient, however. Should you work up the courage to find the candelabra, I'm still prepared to compensate you for it. And we also have some other people here. The innkeep himself and Maria. But we are kind of running out of time. And the point was to get more money. We got 1,000 gold out of that. That's pretty good for start. But that is all for now. And yeah. Let's have the first save, and next time we will continue exploring the town of Sorpigal, or New Sorpigal as it is here. See you then, later.